And good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dennis, brought to you high above the sparkling tops of Mount Shasta. Well, here we are, once again perched high atop. This is the April tape. Dun, 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 dun. I'm sitting here basically across from Mount Eddy, just below the peak of Mount Shasta, right across from Castle Craigs. So I'm sitting on a really nice triangular PowerPoint. Let's see, what should we talk about today? Yeah, I think I'll pick desire. Desire is a unique term. It's very important in our thought energy creations. And what I mean by thought energy creations is that we are always thinking, as you know. And during all of these thinking scenarios that we produce, we have discovered that every thought that we have produces a picture. And we've discovered that through that picture, it will become manifest based on our desires. Now, desires and actions are very, very close, except that desire covers action. And it also covers the subtler bodies, the ones that don't grab the hammer and the nail and put the two boards together. There is a certain desire to pick up a board and a hammer and a nail and put the two boards together. There is action to do that. There is the actual banging of the nail. But desire sort of takes in all of the levels. In other words, it takes an action, which is the physical, audible, or any of the senses doing their thing. It takes in the emotional. In other words, I want this achievement. I want to make this happen. I have a wish to accomplish this. And basically, once we get the desire within inside of ourselves, our desire encourages us to have a mental picture, to have an emotional picture, and to have physical action behind it. So desire, therefore, covers several things. It is something that works within us, through us, and then out of us, and then it also brings things back to us. Desire, therefore, is then one of the main keys that gets us the things on this planet, whether they be positive, negative, fun, non-fun. Desire is the electrical charge which we use to back up our thoughts. Now, everyone has desire. Everyone is born with desire. Everything on the planet comes through with a form of desire. All objects in life have desire. Let's just take simple things. The plant that grows on the planet wishes to procreate and continue its species. Now that's a desire that is within the plant itself. And so when the weather gets bad, it toughens itself up so that it can resist inclement weather. Even in fire, plants can survive fires, trees can survive fires, they will grow again. They have that desire to continue. Animals, insects, spiders. There's a spider. There's a fly flies into the spider web. The fly will struggle to get free. It has the desire to continue as essence. The spider has the wanting to eat the fly so that it can eat and continue. It has the desire to live. During the life and death encounter, one desire, naturally, is stronger than the other. Desire governs us. Desire is something that is inside of us that deals with the thinking process. It deals with the survival process. It deals with our wanting process. Desire really covers a lot of things. Now let's take it step by step. First, there is God. There is us, the reflection of the divine. Within God, we exist. As God wishes to have an experience, it creates a thought for us. We then respond to the thought that God has placed in us. Depending on how conscious we are, depends on the different response that we produce. If we are not very conscious, we sometimes have an instinctual desire. Sort of like the fly, or the spider that wants to eat, or the plant that wants to survive. We have this instinctual desire. Okay? This instinctual desire is had by all things on the planet. And the insights to create all things are given to us directly by God. Whether it's an animal or a plant, everything has the desire to continue. It's the reason that man wishes to continue to live, so that whatever it is, it can sort of get a handle on it. Instinctual desire. Then we have conscious desire. Conscious desire is basically designed for man. And it is designed for the man who chooses to raise itself from the plain desire of wanting. Now, when I was growing up, desire was a unique word, because I heard that as a person who was supposed to become conscious, you wanted to let go of the desire body. You didn't want to desire things. You just wanted to remain neutral. And so why is it that I'm telling you desire is an important thing? Well, there are different forms of desire. And naturally they are all classified. The word that we heard when we were a Catholic or a religious individual was, you shouldn't desire something because that is a want of something. Well, the key is, the desire that we're after right now is I desire God. I mean, that's a very important desire to me. I not only desire it, I move in every way, shape, and form to attain it. And then once again, I have a man or a church or something come along and tell me that desire is going to give me a want of physical things. And so, as I looked at the word desire and the way they interpreted it, I had a full realization that their interpretation and mine is a little different. I also noticed that desire was interpreted differently by the masters also. By any great man, and let me include male or female on that, by any great woman, by any great being that is looking to express itself from its divinity. See, there's desire and divinity. What we've managed to put together as we've looked at all of these different things is that desire is not necessarily emotion. Once again, now, the translations of all of these words as to what is an emotion, what is a feeling, how is the desire, like words are leaving us all very, very short. So when I'm using the word desire, let's have a little clear meaning behind it. Desire is the energy that we place behind something we wish. Something we wish in a conscious state is something that directly got inspired with inside of ourselves. And as we are inspired to accomplish whatever this feeling was that came from the divine, we will put our desires behind the completion of whatever it was that we thought was important enough. In other words, we are going to manifest something, and we are going to put the desire behind it. The desire is the electrical charge or the electrical field that makes the thought into a reality. In other words, we would like a house. Okay? To make that house into a realization, there must be a desire behind it. The desire is what actually gets the action, the physical movement, the finger calling the number of people to help with the house, your eyes to look up phone numbers of contractors and builders to start building and drawing blueprints. You must have all of these things behind the desire to start your house. Or let's take something else. A car. You want a new car. You must have the desire in you to want that, so that the pictures that you can get of what it is that you are looking for, the desire that is behind that can start making it come into manifestation. Your desire is what makes things come into manifestation. Your attention to that desire is what makes things come into manifestation. Your consciousness of what it is that you would like to manifest through this desire on the physical plane is what helps us grow. Now, some of us have a desire just to basically be alive. And the consciousness is there for all of us. It exists within us, but we just have not chosen yet, in a certain level of awareness, to act on our consciousness. Some of us would just have a desire to make basically a living. Hand to mouth. That is our desire. And we accomplish that. Some of us have a desire to have a beautiful family. And so we go after that desire. Some of us have a desire to experience God. And we take that desire and we push it behind ourselves, and we become more and more conscious of this. As we look at the things that we desire, because the word itself brings up certain pictures, I notice that some of us who desire financial prosperity, for example, have the desire, but also have sort of a holdback on desire. Something like, well, I'm not quite good enough. So we've got enough of the desire going, and then we sort of pull back. Now, I think I'm going to talk about two things, desire and worth, on this tape. Desire is something that we really want to accomplish, to have, to see the end result of. God is this desire that I have. I wish to see the end, the result of my work towards God. I have the desire to see the manifestation. I have the desire to complete it. Desire gets you new clothes. Desire gets you a job. Desire gets you certain food on the table. I've also noticed that desire gets me steaks on the table, rather than having to eat something that is cheap and inexpensive so that I could actually eat but save money. I've discovered that the quality of our desires are totally influenced by our self-worth. As a being of desire, and as an individual, as a scientist, has had to look at all of these things and see how they all work, I've discovered that first we have a picture, and that picture comes from God. And then what happens is the belief that we think that we can make this picture come true is the amount of desire that we put behind it. Now, if the picture looks too big to accomplish, we start working with the desire to make it happen, but then slowly our consciousness says, no, you're not quite good enough to make it work. You don't quite have enough enthusiasm. The brakes aren't going your way. Things aren't happening the way they should be. Stuff's not going the way I want it to. And what happens is the desire that you have behind the picture that God gave you starts to deplete. Because you start coming up with all of the reasons why you shouldn't have something, or you shouldn't know something, or you shouldn't be something. And then the desire, naturally because it is a strong desire, continues creating the picture. However, it does not create the original picture. It creates The desire for I can't make it, the desire becomes I'm not good enough, the desire becomes I'm having a hard time, the desire comes it's too hard to make it work. And so the desire then produces what you want. It's too hard, you can't do it, da-da-da-da-da. And so the desire produces the effect. Now as this desire produces the effect, you'll notice that within the desire your worth comes up. Yes, I desire to have a brand new car. Yes, I'm picturing it. Yes, I'm working on it. But yes, I also know I'm not making enough money to actually get the one that I want. Well, you know, your desire is going to get you the car, period. And then the amount of worth that you have behind the picture is the type of car you're going to get. We must become conscious of what it is that we are asking for. And if you are asking, you should receive it, period, because you are God. Period. Now we know that. And so naturally, whatever you ask for, you're going to get. But most of us, as we put the desire out to get something, get sidetracked by our worth case and end up not getting what we put out. You see, desire is going to get you anything. Desire is not a bad word. It does not produce negative connotations. Desire is the electrical current that produces your thought into a reality. That's how important desire is. And we all have it. Sometimes our desire is just nothing more than somebody saying, hey, you're doing a good job. We had a desire to hear that. Or we had the desire to hear, hey, you're just a complete jerk as I've always anticipated and expected. Desire got you both of those answers. Your worth made it one or the other. Hey, it's good to see you, or hey, are you a jerk again? Now, if we truly want something, start placing the desire behind whatever it is that you want and get it. Now, don't let, oh yeah, but it's kind of expensive, oh yeah, it's kind of this, oh yeah, it's kind of that. You see, those are your desires too. Those are your desires to believe in the fact that you are not worthy. The end result is that desire gets you everything that you want. Desire is the electrical charge that we put out from our body that makes the physical manifestation. Desire is that current that places things that have not manifested yet into things that will manifest. Our ability to accept or reject our creation, therefore, then falls on our worthiness. We all know we're God. Not all of us choose to recognize it. And that's perfect, because each of us is doing what we need to do. God doesn't need itself recognized by everybody simultaneously, otherwise everybody would be recognizing God simultaneously. God is choosing each one of us as an individual to grow in a very special way. And as we wake up inside of ourselves and begin to realize that desire is one of those motivating factors that actually takes our innermost thoughts and put it into physical manifestation, it's real simple to understand how easily this whole process works. Thought originates from God. We have the insight inside of us. Desire, the electrical current that brings form around the manifestation. The action is the things that pick things up and actually do the moving and use the physical manifestation after we've got done using it, or after we've got done creating it. And our worth of ourself naturally is what we get in return from the desire, from the thought, from our consciousness understanding the thought, from our consciousness understanding the desire. Now, see how simple this process works. Now, what is it that is stopping you from getting your heart's desire? Basically, it's our worth. We have a thought to attain godness, and so we have the desire to attain godness. And our desire is out there. And we are manifesting different things around our creative thoughts through the desire to support our reality of God. In other words, something very slick throughout the day will manifest and we'll go, wow, there it is, I saw it, wow. And all of a sudden you realize that your desire is actually starting to attract things that enhance the divinity of oneself. Wow, I'm really on this. It's really starting to happen. Look at this manifestation go. Wow, yeah. Oh, wow, this is really working for me. Okay. Desire. Manifesting the thought. Now here I am. I'm a conscious being. I'm working on God. I have a desire to see God. Yes. Oh, wow, things are going really well for me, except today things got really bum, and so, yeah, that's typical. I'm still falling back in the old patterns. Well, that's your desire, to fall back into the old patterns. And by affirming it, and by bringing it up, and by mentioning it, you got your desire. Your desire of lack of worth. Well, I'm getting a little too close to God, and I haven't really raised my self-worth on the physical plane enough, and so I've discovered that desire and self-worth go hand in hand. I, as a personality, am naturally always expanding into my godness. Sure, I'm self-realized on all of those levels, but a lot of levels on the physical plane, just like everyone else, are going, well, I don't know if this is really what I should be. No, I don't know if this is, no, I don't. Those are my desires coming up in lack of self-worth. And so I'm perpetuating the desire of, wow, Dennis, you're really up there in the God realms now. Is your physical unit really ready to accept that? And Dennis has noticed that there's all denial stuff still going on in the personality. And so I've also noticed that I have desire behind the denial. Just like I have desire behind the acceptance. You see, desire is always there. We have something going on in us all of the time to make some sort of a completion, whether we know it or not. It is that inward desire to get back to our source. That inward desire drives us. It's the thing that keeps us alive when we don't even know why we're alive on the planet. That desire is what makes it work for us. Eventually, the desire that most people on the planet get is throwing in the towel and giving it up and just barely making it from payday to payday and resolving to the fact that they're just some regular person on the planet and that's the best they can do. Then their desire accomplishes that. And their accomplishment becomes less than what they want because their desire is so strong to accomplish, well, I'm not good enough, that, desire manifests what you put out. As a personality, I've noticed that I'm desiring different things right now. In the business, in my life, in my relationships with people, with God, with myself, with others. I've noticed that my self-worth, once again, is on the block. And I must pay attention to my self-worth because I know that my desires gets me whatever my self-worth is putting out. I've discovered that now that this desire is a continuous thing, that is also something that is brought to us by the divine to complete whatever the thoughts are that we have, whether they're positive or negative. This desire will drive us. I then noticed that with the drive, my self-worth had to change. Now, if mine has to change, everyone's has to change. I mean, there's a part of me that knows I'm self-realized, and there's a part of me that knows Dennis still needs to get on the stick and get things happening. I've noticed that my desire sometimes is less than what I would like for myself. As I would like support from the universe to come in, and abundance and prosperity from the universe to come in, I notice that it is always coming in because my desire is always creating it. But I also notice that I have pictures within my self-worth that, well, I don't think I'm quite good enough to accept the full magnitude of the divine 24 hours a day. Or my physical unit isn't quite ready to hold the full blown out realization that as a being of God I can just disappear and turn into full light and never actually come back. Your desires must be in relationship directly to what you believe you're worthy with inside of yourself. Sure, there's bits and pieces of me that still go through the stuff of, yes, as God, the universe and myself are one, therefore I am totally prosperous, therefore I am totally abundant, therefore I am in total knowingness, therefore I am totally without error, therefore I never make a person upset with me. You know, these are the things that we have to work on, and these are the things that deal with our worth of ourselves. Our desire is to always bring us prosperity and abundance, and it always is. And our worth case is stopping it necessarily from coming in. The desire of what we want is right on the edge, but our desire to not have it because of our lack of self-worth is a whole hell of a lot stronger than sometimes our desire bodies. And our consciousness just goes, oh, well, yeah, I see that the desire is getting this, but I also know I'm not quite worthy, and so my desire will be less than what my thought was, but the desire will basically be what I desired. I've discovered that consciousness is a very important name of the tool, along with worthiness and desire. I think the three really do go hand in hand. You must be conscious to realize that your desire body is always getting everything it wanted. Your conscious body must then realize that some of the things that you don't want are based on the fact that you and your desire body are believing that you're not good enough. And your consciousness must raise itself and go, hey, wait a minute, I see that the desire body gives me everything I want all the time, and I'm also noticing that my desire body is giving me a bunch of stuff saying that I'm not really worth it inside of myself, because that's all my desires can give me, what my worth is. I've also noticed that as a conscious being, I am now observing that my worth case is interfering with my manifestation of my desires, and that my desires are constantly being given to me. My consciousness then must realize that it needs to start working on its self-worth to allow the desire body, which is producing 1,000% of the day, all of the things that we run through our heads. If we have a concept that believes we are not worthy, then the desire body enhances the fact that we are not worthy. Do you get that? The desire body is working all of the time, whether we are aware of it or not. We need to turn the desire body into something that serves us consciously. Eventually, consciously, you will notice that your worth case is interfering with the desire body giving what you think you want, and then what happens is you have to take a good look at your consciousness. Now, I notice that the tape once again is starting to run out, and so I want to get to the other side and start locking all of these things together now. So I'll see you there. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, this is me back again. Now I want to stay with this. So now basically,